Welcome to Decentralized Umoja 2 here with Reach, the African Blockchain Alliance, and the Algorand Foundation. We're super excited to have you all here. I am so excited to see what projects everyone creates. And before we get started, I'm just going to introduce everyone who is involved, who made today possible. Let me just pull this up. Going to share my screen. And everyone, if you have any questions, feel free to just ping us in the chat and we'll answer them as soon as possible. Okay, and to kick us off, we have Jay, our CTO here at Reach.
Howdy, everyone. Are you gonna put something on the screen, or should I see that you're sharing your screen stuff, or should I just start? I'm just gonna go. Welcome to the Bounty Hack. I want to tell you a little bit about why we started these bounty hacks and what the big picture is. So right now, blockchain is really exciting to everyone. It's this new up and coming thing, but it's not the kind of thing where we know exactly what it's for yet. We know technically what is important about blockchain, that it enables people to have trustless collaboration with one another, where they can ensure that that when they interact with someone, trading value, that nothing can stand in the way of those transactions going through, and they can be safely protected from attacks that a middleman could take. But there's no killer application yet, and we at Reach, we believe that the reason that there isn't yet a killer application for blockchain is that there's not enough developers. Right now, there's a very small number of developers, on the order of 30,000 if you were extremely optimistic. And compare that with something like smartphones, where there's literally millions and millions of developers. And so our belief at Reach is that if we bring in more and more people into the world of blockchain application development, then that will greatly accelerate the process of making blockchain mainstream, and we can discover what those killer applications are. And so that's really where you come in. So our goal is to give you both a training program, an excuse to learn about Reach and to learn about dApp development, while at the same time helping you find something to build that's not something that anyone else has built before. A lot of times when people learn about programming, they'll just take an application that somebody else has already built and just redo exactly the same thing. And in the blockchain world, a lot of those applications that are really popular are things like, decentralized exchanges and weird DeFi products that are not the sort of thing that normal consumers care about, and in fact have already been built before. So our real goal with the Bounty Hack is to give you a variety of projects where you can know that you have learned something totally on your own. Well, not really totally on your own, but you've developed something on your own that's unique and demonstrated your ability to learn something new, so that we can expand the audience of programmers, really of developers and ideas that people are trying for blockchain. Now, something that's a little bit more unique about our take on this is that we have the development platform Reach, which is what brings us together here. And the big idea of Reach is that unlike normal blockchain development tools, Reach is designed for every programmer to be able to use. We don't have any low-level like assembly-based things that you need to think about when you're developing your blockchain application. Our goal is for you to be able to focus on the business logic of your application and let Reach take care of all of the nitty-gritty details. Our goal is to have the same sort of transformative experience or transformative impact on blockchain that programming languages like BASIC did at the early days of the personal computer, where in the 70s to be a programmer meant to program in assembly, and it was only something that very sort of elite programmers did. In contrast, in the 80s, even normal kids, in middle school could program BASIC and do real interesting applications. And our goal is to recreate that kind of transformation and who can be a blockchain programmer today. And that's the essence of everything that we do with Reach. Whenever you are developing, please join our Slack channels and ask for questions and ask any questions that you have, and we'll be delighted to help you. And in fact, if you find any problems with Reach or the tools or the documentation, we are extremely welcome to hear about those so that we can improve them for future generations of dApp developers. You all are the first generation of what will become tens of millions of developers, and so you should really be proud of yourself for getting to this point and entering the blockchain world through this Reach Bounty Hack. So thank you so much for joining us, and I can't wait to see you in the chats and see what you've built.
Thank you, Jay. Amazing. Thanks, everyone. Okay, and next off, we have Jack with the Algorand Foundation.
Hey, thanks, Estefania. Hi, guys. So yeah, I'm Jack. I'm from the Algorand Foundation. I'm the head of communities for Europe, Middle East, and Africa. Obviously, a big part of my role is developing the Algorand community across Africa and building out our projects that are there. And obviously, this partnership and collaboration with Reach is a fundamental part of that strategy, and therefore you guys taking part in this are a fundamental part of that movement. So for that, I want to say a massive thank you, both to Reach and to you guys for taking part. For those that don't know, Algorand is an open source permissionless public blockchain based on pure proof of stake consensus protocol. It's the first of its kind to support the scale, open participation, and transaction finality for billions of users. We're backed by a sustainable business and a renowned team of experts. We overcome the decentralization, security, and scalability barriers that have traditionally undermined mainstream blockchain adoption until now. And after years of uncertainty and unfulfilled promises, we're making the borderless economy possible by setting the standard for blockchain. And so I'm super excited to see the projects that come out of this bounty hack. It's really our pleasure to support this great initiative. And yeah, as I said, looking forward to seeing the projects that emerge. So thank you so much. Any questions that anyone has, please hit us up in the Slack and in the Discord channel as well. Cheers.
Thank you, Jack. All right. Okay, I see some of you posting that you can't get into the Slack channel. Really appreciate your patience. I know we've been having some trouble getting people in there. Here are just some troubleshooting notes before we hand this over to Ben. So if there's a workspace option that allows you to join, try joining in that way. If it doesn't allow you, email me back in the email that I've sent you. Lastly, if that doesn't work, join us on Discord. We're just as able to answer your questions on Discord, if not more. You'll actually have direct access on our Discord to our CEO, our CTO, Jay, who just spoke. So you'll be getting a lot of assistance and help answering any questions along the way, okay? All right, and I'm going to hand this over to Ben with the African Blockchain Alliance, who this would not have been possible without. Welcome, Ben.
Thanks, Estefania, and hi, everyone. Welcome to this second version of this hackathon. We're glad that everyone is able to make it, and we're also grateful to Algorand Foundation and to Reach for making it possible. And to our awesome community members that have also come to join. So Africa Blockchain Alliance, we are focused mostly on blockchain education, both tech and non-tech, and that is why we're always reaching out to partner with different local and international groups to bring blockchain education to more Africans, because we believe that blockchain will have the biggest impact in places like Africa, because there isn't a lot of legacy infrastructure to get in the way. I'm sure most of us know how blockchain is taking over the world. And most importantly, too, in places like Africa, where people don't have a lot of access to financial services, blockchain could give that first access to financial services. We've also seen the explosion of DeFi, decentralized finance. And we believe that that will also be huge for Africa and for people to have a whole suite of financial applications that they couldn't have had with the normal financial system. So it's very exciting times. We've been doing what we do for about 4 years now. And apart from education, we also focus a lot on advocacy, reaching out and to a lot of policymakers and a lot of different groups of people to expand blockchain adoption in Africa. We also facilitate a lot of partnerships between different groups, between individuals, between developers and organizations, and different lots of partnerships for driving blockchain forward in Africa. So I'm excited for everyone, and I just have a word of advice for everyone to take the instructions very seriously, join the Discord, join the Slack, ask questions, and get on your toes, right? There's quite a few activities in the 6 weeks. This is a 6 week program, and Estefania is going to take you or take all of us through everything. Let's not look for you. Be present, be there throughout the six weeks, and do your best to make sure you get to the finish line. Estefania will show everyone, as you know, for getting to the finish line, you do get a bounty. And we've listened to a lot of feedback from the first version of the hackathon that we had last year, and we've incorporated a lot of the feedback with more mentorship support, support for Slack, and we're also going to be introducing some other things in the course of the program to make sure that people are, attended to as quickly as possible. So again, enjoy the ride, do your best, give it your best, and we look forward to the solutions that are going to come out from here. And we also hope that those solutions, some of you would not only just build them for the hackathon, but also take them forward. So thanks very much, everyone. Estefania, back to you.
Thank you, Ben. All right. Thank you all so much again for being here. I apologize for some of the screen sharing. I'm not used to using just one monitor. All right. So now that we've gotten these wonderful introductions from everyone who's made this possible, just want to say congratulations for making it this far, for being brave enough to take the leap of faith and learning Reach, and get excited to build these incredible projects. I'm going to be going over some key dates, some lines of communication where you can come ask your questions, and a little bit more about what to expect in the weeks to come. Okay, so here you have the key dates. We're going to be kicking off today with the tutorial. The tutorial can be found in the main landing page where you registered. Otherwise, you're also welcome to ping us on Slack or Discord, and it actually should be pinned on the top of the Slack page as well. Everything you need to know will be on that landing page, and that link will be pinned at the top of those channels. So this is your preparation week. This is the week where you're focusing on learning Reach, going through the different tutorials and the motions to ensure that you understand how to use Reach. If you get stuck along the way, feel free to ping us on Slack and Discord. This is where we can answer any of your questions to ensure that you can get through the finish line. After you've completed your tutorial, which will be submitted and should be submitted by Sunday, March 13th by midnight, You can submit this through also a link that is available in the Slack and in the Discord. We'll just request that you submit a screenshot of your completed tutorial, and we ask you that it is your team lead that submits the tutorial. So your team lead's going to have the opportunity to submit his or her name along with your team members' names, and this is how we'll keep track of who's working on which projects. The project selections are first come and first serve. Mentors will be assigned after you've completed your tutorials. So you will find out who your mentor is the moment you complete your tutorial. Give us around 24-hour turnover and we'll have you assigned to someone, okay? Otherwise, if you have general questions, just continue to ask those in the Slack or in the Discord. All right, so then we have week 1, and that's the week where you begin to build, which begins March 14th. So this is where we ask of you to start writing your code, start building your applications and projects. We will be following your GitHub repositories, and something new that we've implemented in this hackathon is we're going to be checking in with you guys every week to ensure you're getting through the different points so that you can finish this, so you can get across the finish line. And we will be incentivizing teams through weekly payouts to ensure that you're getting from point A to point Z. Deliverables are all due on Sunday, April 17th. I know it sounds crazy, only 3 weeks to build a blockchain application for some of you who never have. It is very, very possible. It's been done many times before. And we're so excited to see you also get across that line. So we will then be kicking off demo day on April 22nd. So we ask that all of you have your deliverables submitted. That doesn't just include a link to your GitHub repository. It also includes content. So that is you walking us through your projects through a recorded video. You can do this through a Zoom and screen share aspect, and we really do encourage all of your team members to participate as you present your projects. We also request that you take some time to schedule time with us so that we can interview you and get to know you and the teams. This is very helpful to you because after we present first, second, and third prize, you will also be offered the opportunity to be a part of this community award, which means that the community can vote on their favorite project. So meet the team interviews are big support to that. Okay. So your mentors will be actually introducing themselves either on Discord or Slack, depending on the channel that you are in. They'll be available to answer any of your questions. If you don't hear from someone quickly enough, feel free to ping me and I will direct you to someone else who can. Okay, so the Meet the Team profile, just go over that briefly one more time. So we'll basically set up a Zoom call where it'll be recorded. We'll go over a few questions. It's okay to make mistakes as you answer something. We will be editing the final video. Okay, so the Community Choice Award is going to be $1,000. That's in addition to any other incentives that we'll be paying out. So your completion requirements are that your application must run properly on the Algorand mainnet. It must perform the basic functions as it is prescribed in the actual project. Your app must be built upon the workshops, and also I know some of you are returning. So just so you know, you cannot build any of the same projects from the previous bounty hacks. We ask that you create entirely new projects, find something within that project list that has not been created before. And if you have a project idea that you're just dying to share with us, please do submit your project ideas. We welcome that and we encourage that. And we can guide you along the way to ensure that you can complete it. Okay, so a little bit more about the demo video and what to expect. So the demo video should be anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes long, and it should include general overview about what your project does, what the application is, and how it's supposed to function. So we'll walk through the back end and essentially the middleware, the smart contract configuration, so that we understand how you've developed your application. Once your application is running on mainnet, you will also be sharing with that through your demo presentation. Please ensure that you get your demo video in on time in order to receive any of the incentives. So deadlines are so important just to ensure that you can partake in all of the incentive opportunities that come after. Everyone who completes the project is still eligible to be paid for their bounties, but it is important that you submit everything else for the first, second, and third prize, as well as the Community Choice Awards. Okay, how does it work to win first, second, and third prize? So the beauty is that you get to vote on who the best project is. So we do have a couple of rules. So once you submit your project, it'll be due Wednesday, April 20th by midnight in your time zone. Then you will be given 24 hours to review and watch all of the demo videos available, and you'll have 2 days to vote for your favorite project. It cannot be your own. You must vote for a first, second, and third prize project based on the other applications that have been submitted. So you have the ability to vote for your peers. So there's a bit of a mistake here. You will actually be paid $800 once you complete your project. Now, after demo day, we will also be hosting a Community Choice Award. This is going to be shared with everyone. So that means your friends can vote. That means your family can vote. That means whoever's watching, strangers on the internet can vote. And this is an additional $1,000 to anyone who's able to get enough attention on their project. And if people love it, then they'll vote for you. Okay. After the fact, you're also entitled to some incentives. So these incentives are really exciting, not just for you, but also for all future hackers coming in. Your projects are the example, as Jay was saying. This is a new frontier for a lot of people, and we're really excited to have you here. So the more information there is about what you've done, what you've created, it's not just great for you, but it's also great for future builders. We're all just standing on the shoulders of giants at the end of the day, right? So you have the ability to, so project completion is actually 800. Just keep that in mind. It's actually correct on the website. Then you also have the ability to write an article describing your project. And this could be just something as basic as like an outline and just sort of just be as descriptive as possible. We will also be able to help you with your drafts to tweak the wording for it to make sense. I get it. Sometimes I'm shy about my writing too. And then, of course, there is actually, in addition to meet your team, we do want to also incentivize you to schedule an interview. And this could be with someone like myself, Michael, or even our CEO, Chris. And we're essentially just going to be asking you about your hack experience. And we really just want to get your feedback to understand what your experience was and how we can do better. Now, lastly, you have an option of either submitting a workshop or your own tutorial. And these can also be filmed in a similar manner as you would your demo video. Okay, so just some housekeeping here. It'd be incredible to consider good lighting, making sure you have a stable internet connection, making sure your audio functions properly. We just really want to get a clear image of your face, ideally, so the world can know who you are and get to know the people behind these incredible projects. And overall, just so that we can understand what's going on. So thank you all so much for being here, for taking the time to sign up. We're really excited to get you across those finish lines. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask us on the Slack or in the Discord channel. As I mentioned before, some of you are having troubles getting onto Slack. I totally understand. If you have not yet reviewed the email regarding a couple of troubleshooting notes, like one, don't use your phone, use a computer browser, and from there, you will often be redirected to join either a team. There are over 30 teams currently in the Slack, so it's possible that one of your team's Slack channels is currently in there, so you might have to join on that team. Otherwise, if that does not work, one of the alternatives is to email me directly if you have not done so already, and I will invite you manually. Now, the last thing is if that doesn't work, then of course we still have Discord. Discord is actually probably one of even the better ways to communicate with our team. Both are really great to get in touch with your mentor and generally to answer any questions. So please, if you are still having problems, definitely ping us. But to kick off, you know where to go. Visit docs.reach.sh/TUT, which will direct you over to the tutorial. We also encourage you to tweet at us. And if you want to share your progress with us, we'll be happy to retweet it from our Reach Lang Twitter handles. We're really excited to have you all here. And please remember that your tutorial is due March 13th. If you complete your tutorial before them, you're more than welcome to submit it to the link that is in the Slack and in the Discord. We're really excited to have you all here. And that is all on my end. We will now be handing this over to JP. JP will be going over the workshop tutorial and answering general questions as we need. Feel free to add them here in the chat. I will then ping him on the side so that he answers them once he's able to sort of take a break. We do understand a lot of questions sometimes are answered as we go. So just bear with us, be patient, and stay curious. Welcome, JP.
Hey, thanks for having me on. All right, let's get into this. So I'm just going to share my whole screen. Apologies for the infinite window if that shows up for a second. Let's just hop into it. So I am in the Reach documentation. So to get to here, in the tutorial, walk you through installation, and we just want to make sure that everyone has Reach installed. So if you go to docs.reach.sh, you'll come to our landing page for the documentation. And it looks like my internet's a little slow, so maybe it wasn't a good idea that I go through here. So I'm just going to tell you what to do. You're going to go to the docs and then click on tutorials up here, and you're going to go into rock, paper, scissors. You should have an option of like overview and rock, paper, scissors. It looks like my internet was a little slow to load, so I'm not going to navigate away from this page. You will need Make, Docker, and Docker Compose to be able to run Reach. If you're on a Mac, an Apple, then Make should already be installed. If you're on Windows, let me open that up in another tab. If you're in Windows, you'll want to follow these instructions in using Reach on Windows. You can follow that link through the tutorial or through the guides. It's the first guide using Reach on Windows. For Windows, you're going to need something called Windows Subsystem for Linux, or WSL2. And you just follow these instructions. We actually have a video right here, a 5-minute video that you can watch, and it'll walk you through installing that. And I did that video. That's me. It's my face there. So rather than like going through the content of that video, I'll just give you a high-level overview. Let's make sure that we have Make. So if you go to open a terminal, we'll do make -- version, and you should get a version number, currently 3.81. You have that, you have that installed. And then we'll also do a Docker version. And then the other thing is you want to have Docker running. So I've got Docker Desktop is running in the background on my machine. And then Docker Desktop comes with Docker Compose these days. So this should be easy. You shouldn't have to do anything extra to get Docker Compose. You'll just need to make sure that you'll have Docker Desktop. Okay, so we have all of those things. And again, you can, if you have an Apple, you have Make, and just do a quick Google search for like Docker download, and that will lead you to Docker Desktop, and you can install that for your operating system. And then if you're on Windows, you'll want to install Windows Sub 6 WSL2. The important note about Windows users, once you have WSL and you upgrade that to WSL2, and these links walk you through how to do that, and that video walks you through how to do that, it's very important that you run Reach through Ubuntu as an administrator. So Reach won't work in command prompt, and it won't work in PowerShell. You've got to have that WSL2, and then in your start menu, you're typing Ubuntu, and then run that as administrator. And I show you that in the video. The other thing you need is a text editor. We recommend VS Code because, and this is my VS Code, and we recommend that because it has our most up-to-date extension. So if you go to extensions and type for Reach, and you'll want to install the Reach IDE, it'll just make your life a little easier. It gives you syntax sugar for your RSH files. That's the backend Reach file. And it also helps you with like autocomplete. So be sure you have that. Okay. So at that point, we'll have Reach installed. And I'll just check really quick to see if there's any, I don't see any questions there. So we'll continue forward. The next thing you'll do is install Reach. So this curl command will install Reach. And what I like to do is create like a parent directory, and I'll have that, I'll have Reach in my parent directory. So in this case, I have it in my subfolder, but if I would make like a Reach folder, and that's actually what I've done. So you see here's a Reach folder, and then I've got my subdirectories, and inside my Reach folder, I would have Reach installed, but we can do that. I'll show you that command. So you just put that in there, that curl command, hit enter, and Reach should install in just a few seconds. It doesn't take very long usually. Okay, that's going to finish. And then you can make sure that you have Reach installed by using the Reach version. So we'll just check that. If you have, so a couple things. If in this case I have Reach inside the sample directory, so I can just do the syntax of the period and the / Reach version, and that'll pull up. If I had Reach in my parent directory, I would put in 2 periods and then Reach version. And I do have Reach in the parent directory as well, so it happens to work in both cases for me. You also have the ability to install Reach in your shell and in the path, excuse me. I don't recommend doing that at this point in time. Perhaps when Reach is more mature, then I will recommend that. For now, I'd say just grab that curl command, put it in a parent directory, and then run Reach with the put your projects in a subdirectory under that, and then you can run Reach with the 2 periods syntax like that. Okay, cool. So at this point in time, you should have Reach ready. You can update Reach. This takes several minutes to run a Reach update after installing, so I'm not going to do that now, as we would sit here just talking for the next 5 to 10 minutes. It takes a while. So we're going to skip this for now, but you'll want to do this on your personal machine. Okay, just check again. It's in the tutorial. Yes, it's in the tutorial, and you can install for Ubuntu. Yes. And yep. So yeah, you install for Ubuntu. So if you're on a Windows machine, to answer that question, you'll go to probably the easiest way to get there is through the tutorial, and then follow this link. If you're using on Windows, consult the guides to using Reach on Windows and follow that link. That'll take you here, and then just follow these instructions. If you have trouble with this, I definitely check out the video. It's like a 5-minute video. It walks you through the process. This should clear a lot of questions. If you still have questions, then definitely hit us up in the Slack or the Discord. I want to do everything I can to make sure that you're up and ready with Reach so that you're good to finish the tutorial. Okay, awesome. Okay, at this point, we're ready to hop in. So I'm going to work through this first part of the tutorial with you. It'll be up to you to finish the tutorial in its entirety, right? So I'm not going to read the text. You should come back and do this yourself and read all the text. We're going to go through the code together, okay? So I have a Reach file. This is my backend. And I have an MJS file, which stands for Magic JavaScript. It's JavaScript. It's my front end. Right, and that's for a Reach program, that's all you need, back end, front end. So Reach file always starts with a Reach, currently that's 0.1. And then we're going to create this, what we call the interact interface. So let me see, I'm going to combine my two screens here. Okay, I lost my way. There we go. Okay, hopefully that's a decent split and you can still see. We're going to create this interact interface. This is the app initialization of your Reach application. And we're going to create two participants. So in a Reach program, you're always focused on your participants and how they interact with one another and with the contract. So here I'm creating two participants, Alice and Bob. You know, this is very common in cryptology space. You're just A and B, and these are our two participants. And in this case, they're going to play rock, paper, scissors together. But, you know, Alice and Bob do many things. They can be friends, they can be enemies, they can compete with one another in an NFT auction. Whoop, it always goes to infinity on my autocomplete. Yeah, and so these are just two names that we're arbitrarily assigning to our participants. And so what we've done here is create Alice and a Bob, and inside of this interact interface, we'll hold the interface will actually go inside of each of these constants. All right, starting up the front end, there's a little more to it for basic front end, but we'll walk you through every bit here. So first, we're going to load our standard library. The standard library is essentially a collection of methods and functions, right, that we've created to make your life easier, right? So rather than needing to like tell the front end exactly like how to add or multiply, we've just given you a simple like add method, right, as an example. What this is really helpful for is like interacting with networks and tokens, because that is a bit complicated. And so we give you easy methods that you can interact with. So you definitely want to load in that standard library, and then we're loading in the backend, and we're going to assign the standard library a constant. Okay, and so that's the first three lines. And now we're going to give Alice and Bob a starting balance, because it's not much fun if you don't have any crypto, right? You need some kind of currency. So we're going to give them 100 atomic units. Now, this bit might be a little more advanced, but I'll just say here that basically we're giving them like, it's the equivalent of like giving them 100 pennies. So when you're parsing currency, you're moving currency to the atomic unit. That's the smallest unit possible, just like an atom. And these are indivisible. And we can format currency, and that allows for like, I don't know, like dollars. So like a standard format of currency that allows for decimal places. But you'll cover that as part of the tutorial. Okay, so we've given Alice and Bob's accounts each the starting balance, which is 100 units, so 100 tokens, let's say, and then we'll initialize the contract. So this first line will have Alice deploy the contract. And then the second line will have Bob attached to the contract. And Bob is going to attach to Alice's original method here, this get info method. Okay, and then the final thing, I'm getting red lines, so I must have forgot something. Let's see, oh, I didn't get my equal sign. Let's see. Yep. And there we go. There we go. Okay, all better. Cool. So then the next thing we'll do now, so whatever happens in a reach program, backend reflects the front end. And so the reflection of the interact interface in the backend are the interact objects in the front end. And so we're going to create a promise that will hold the interact object. I saw in the chats, it was asked earlier if one needs to be a developer already. Someone answered that question. I appreciate that answer. I think it's accurate. So just to expound on that momentarily, I would say that if you know nothing about programming, you can absolutely engage in the bounty with us, and we're happy to have you, excited to have you. However, it's outside the scope of Reach to teach you how to program. And so you'll want to be teaching yourself to program while learning Reach. So rather than working on this part-time, this might be something that you would need to focus on full-time in order to be successful if you don't know how to code. If you're relatively new to programming, but you understand like core foundational concepts, then I think you can grok it and you'll be able to hang. You'll just have to do a little more research as well. Okay, so what we've created here is the essentials of a reach contract. So this is our shell, our backend, and then this is the front end, and we can actually run the contract at this point. So let's give that a shot. Reach run, and it's going to tell me that I need to connect. So this is, you'll want to make sure that you have Docker running in the background, which I do. And then the other thing we need to do is connect to a network. And so we have three options currently, Algorand, and then there are two others, and we can connect to this. Export reach connector mode, and you get that from this right here, reach connector mode, and then just give it a variable. And so we could do algo, we could do ETH or CFX, and that's all there is to it. So now we're connected, and I can run this again, and this is just a very simple contract. There's no publications, that's just a warning saying like this contract isn't doing anything. And then here, this is telling me that I need to reset my Docker. If this happens to you, all you do is you run reach Docker reset, and it says that the container for the service is in conflict. I have to remove the container to be able to reuse it. So I'm just going to do a Docker reset, and it asks me that I'm sure, and that only takes a second. And so now we can run for real this time. It's just like a second. So that completed. It didn't do anything because we haven't told it to do anything. So just check here, and all right, cool. No other new questions. Yeah, you don't have to use Ubuntu. You can use whatever version of Linux that you like. All right, so let's move forward, and let me get my screen back here. Let's see how I'll do that. Just grab that and put it in the middle. Cool. All right, let's move forward a bit. So rock, paper, scissors proper, and I'm just going to get you like started here with some basic methodology. So let's see. We'll start in the back end, and we're going to populate this interact interface here. And I'm getting ahead of myself. Create this const player. This player constant is going to be used by both Alice and Bob. So this is going to be functionality that Alice and Bob can both interact with. And so there's a get hand function, which outputs an unsigned integer. And then there's a see outcome method that will take an integer as an input and have no output. Comma, there we go. There's my semicolon. Cool. And then inside the interact interface will inherit the properties of player, and then Bob will do the same. Bob will inherit the properties of player. Okay. And we'll get this Alice's local step started. So this is a step where Alice will do things like she'll interact with information and declassify it so that Bob can see. And before we move forward in the contract, we're going to give the get hand and the see outcome methods functionality in the front end. So let's do that. Starting at line 12 here, we're going to create a constant of hand and assign it the possible hands of rock, paper, scissors. Okay. And then we'll assign the outcomes, the possible outcomes that we might have, which is that Bob wins, there's a draw, or that Alice wins. Okay. And then we will have this reflection of the player on the front end. And this who is just grabbing who the participant that is playing at the time, and or I could say utilizing these methods. And then we're going to assign the functionality. So this math right here basically randomly assigns a hand, 0, 1, or 2 for rock, paper, scissors. And then we'll give a message in the console about who played their hand. Okay, and then return the hand. And then our see outcome method will give this functionality now. And this is just going to give us a message about seeing the outcome. And then tell us what the outcome is. Yeah, there we go. So that's our basic functionality. And then in the interact object now, Alice and Bob will both inherit from player. Okay. And then Bob will inherit from player. Okay. So there we have that. Okay, now that we are essentially in equilibrium with our front end and our back end, right? We've created these methods, and then we assign them functionality in our front end. And then Alice and Bob have inherited the interact objects in the front end and the interact interface in the back end. And so now we can create a little functionality. So it gives Alice something to do. So she's going to have a hand, and inside of her local step here, she's going to declassify her pick. Okay. And then she'll publish her hand to the consensus network. So this is what we would call a consensus step. And then basically what that means is that Alice is publishing her information to the blockchain, right, where it is now immutable. So once she picks a hand and then she publishes it, she declassifies it and publishes it, everyone can see that and interact with the information. Now Bob will do essentially the same thing. We'll let Bob have a hand. He'll declassify his information, the hand that he picks. Okay, and then he'll publish that. He'll publish his hand. And then we'll show the outcome. What this outcome is essentially that we've codified the game of rock, paper, scissors. And so, math is everywhere. Here's another example of math being everywhere. Math is even in our rock, paper, scissors games. And so it's not easy to understand this equation. I'm not going to get into the details of it, but if you're curious, you're more than welcome to dig into it. And there's an explanation here, but basically, this is a mathematical expression that uses math to determine the winner between Alice and Bob when they play. Okay. Carrying forward now, we use this each method, which allows us to quickly iterate between a local step and a consensus step. And Alice and Bob are going to interact with the outcome. Okay, and that's that. And so at this point now we can run our program here. Check the messages. All right. Test account and web interaction. If you don't, so this is just a test account. We're just throwing up test networks. You can get a faucet. And one more question on the file, which language? So this is Reach. RSH is Reach. We're using the Reach programming language. And then how would we connect our Reach back into other JS frameworks such as React? Yep, and so that's in the tutorial. I would just say that, for JavaScript, any JavaScript framework will work with the standard library. If you want to use a different front end, such as like Python or Go or C#, you can do that through the RPC server. It's a bit outside the scope of what we're talking about here today, but that is all in the documentation. I'll show you where before we go. So let's run our program. And so here, I'll scroll up here, we checked 7 theorems. So even though we didn't tell the program specifically to like assert or require or assume any information about our programs, the verification engine still checks 7 theorems to ensure that participants and the front ends, that everything is accurate and true when participants and front ends are honest or dishonest. And then this is the compiler, and then we play the game. So Alice played rock, Bob played scissors, and of course rock beats scissors, so Bob sees that Alice wins and Alice sees that Alice wins. And that is the essentials of your program. Let me show you about the RPC. So if you go to the Python section, you'll learn more about RPC. When you get to web interaction, this section shows you how to use the React. So you work through the tutorial on using command prompt, and then at the end we get into interaction and independence, and then web interaction, right? Because ultimately a professional app or like a polished app is going to want to have a nice front end for the average user to interact with. You could do that with React, you could do that with other JavaScript libraries. And then if you want to use a different language like Python, this will walk you through how to initialize the RPC server. And then we have a guide on that as well. Let's see. We have a number of guides and workshops that'll help you get started as well. And to access those, you can go in our guides. These are a number of guides. Some guides are, I'll just say, like, they're better than others. And here's that question about like writing the front end with other languages. And so here's more information about the RPC server and how you can interact with that. Cool. Stop my share here. All right, I'm not seeing any other new questions. So yeah, if you get questions as you're going through the tutorial, please reach out in the Discord or the Slack, and we'll be there to help you and help you be successful. Thank you.
Thank you, JP.
Absolutely.
All right.
My pleasure.
And before I let you go, will you briefly introduce yourself, who you are within Reach, and let
Oh,
people know?
yeah, absolutely. I guess I forgot that part. So I'm the director of learning and curriculum development with Reach. Been with Reach for about 5 months now. It's been a really exciting journey, like learning the language and starting to develop curriculum and guides. We got a few guides out there, and we've got some tutorials. So Steph can answer about recorded version of this video, but we do have recorded versions of like rock, paper, scissors and going through the tutorial in our YouTube. So definitely check that out in our YouTube channel. Like we got a number of videos there that like talk about blockchain and like different ideas in blockchain, and then actual guides and walkthroughs. And if you have a guide or a walkthrough that you'd like to see, definitely hit us up in the Slack and we'll work on building that. All right. Thanks again.
Thank you. All right, everyone, there you have it. We're officially kicked off to the Decentralized Umoja Bounty Hack 2. Yeah, so just to reiterate a few things, this will be a recorded video available on YouTube. You can use the exact same link you used to get there. This will also be on our Twitter for 24 hours. So you can find us here or on YouTube. YouTube, it will actually live in the YouTube. Then, of course, if you have questions outside and beyond what we've just gone over, please feel free to ping us in the Slack and Discord. If there are no further questions, I am so excited to see you guys. Please introduce yourselves if you haven't already. Even if you have a team, we still want to know who you are, what your ambitions are, and if there's anything that we can do, if there is anything we can do to support that, we will be more than happy to do so. I hope you all have an incredible week working on your projects, and we're so excited to have you. Have an excellent, excellent rest of your day, and I'll talk to you soon.